Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Q&A. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. Now, the news is out. The news is out. So if you follow us on social media, you'll see that we did a gender reveal at the weekend. It was really nice. It was just with family and basically friends who are like family. And it was gorgeous. It was really just low key, really chilled. And we did the reveal. We are having a little baby girl. No, very excited to be a girl mum, and Will is really excited to be a girl dad as well. Thank you to everyone who has given us their congratulations and well wishes. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, everyone who said they're so excited about a maternity plan. A lot of thought has gone into that. So I'm really, really glad. A lot of thought and hard work to come, of course, but especially for Will. But we're really excited and we're so pleased that we're able to deliver something like that as well. So thank you all. Now, in the squad, some big stuff. The autumn shop has been released this week. So myself, Catherine and Sarah, we went through the full catalogue of everything that we thought would be good for autumn. So if you go on there, there's some really cool stuff. Even those like dry robes. So I've never had one before, but I'm going to get myself a dry robe because they are so cool. But loads of other things. I'm thinking winter warmers, keep us nice and cozy. Well, autumn warmers. We're not quite at the winter wardrobe yet, but there's some really nice things on there. So go check it out. And also on the Yogascape shop, we have an exclusive Yogascape number 8 top, which yours truly designed, just quite simple and in line with the theme of Yogascape number 8. And then don't forget, gang, step challenge signups are open. So it's a great way just to keep yourself motivated, inspired, particularly as it's getting like a little bit darker, a little bit colder. Maybe your motivation to work out isn't quite as high as it normally would be. Get yourself on a step challenge. Can't emphasize how great they are and just really, really good fun. So do that, sign up. What's the worst that could happen? Sign up. It's going to be really good fun. And that starts on Monday. We're assigning teams this weekend. So just make sure you sign up before the weekend, gang. Okay, shall we get to the questions? Shall we do it? Let's do this. I've got some really good questions. So I've got 6 brilliant questions. I'm going to start with question number 1. Now, this is quite a big and I thought quite loaded question as well, but really, really fantastic. My other half mentioned that I should probably be supplementing my workouts with cycling, running, or swimming to increase my fitness level and reduce my fat, as he says my heart rate won't be going up enough when I'm doing workouts or not in different zones for long enough. Is this correct? And how important are heart rate zones when exercising? Okay, so let's just break this down step by step and talk about our heart rate zones as well, like what they are and what they mean for our fitness levels as well. So your heart rate lifts when your body is working out harder, and training at different intensities, different heart rates produce different outcomes or adaptations. So these are the kind of common ones really. So zone 1, zone 2, it's your easy to moderate is what I was going to say. Easy it. I'm just merging 2 words. So that is going to be more like you're walking, like cycling. And this is where the body is using fat more as an energy source. So notice it's not fat burning. Well, technically burning fat as an energy source, but doesn't mean that it contributes to somebody losing more fat. And I'll explain that a little bit better in a moment. Recovery, building a bit more of an endurance base, maybe. Your zone 3 to 4, that is the moderate. So your brisk cycling, your jogging, your cardio fitness, and maybe like some aerobics, for example, depending on how hard you're working. All of this depends on how hard you're working. And that will improve your cardiovascular fitness and maybe endurance too. And then your zone 5 is where you're going full pelt. You're going all out. And usually, we can only do this for a short amount of time before we crash or we burn out. But, your high intensity interval training. So things like your HIIT, or if you do a class like combat and you're really, really going for it, for example. And that builds your anaerobic capacity and your power as well. So the zones are just a way to measure intensity and to measure how hard your heart is working, but they're not magic, and being in a certain zone for a certain amount of time doesn't automatically make you fitter or leaner even. So this is what we need to think about in terms of fat loss. It's not about our heart rate zones. It's not at all. And this is where a lot of people get confused, because they get confused between fat to burning, as in using fat as a source of energy, versus losing fat overall in our bodies. So what happens is when we work at a higher intensity, so we really are getting out of breath, we can't really have as much of a conversation. Our body switches from using fat as a source of energy to carbohydrates as a source of energy. But that's okay. That's what the body does. It's what the body is, it's trained to do. So that's just one thing. If you're talking about losing body fat overall, that depends on if you're in a calorie deficit or not. It doesn't depend on how long you're working in a certain heart rate zone. It doesn't depend on whether your body is using fat as a fuel source or carbohydrates as a fuel source. That doesn't matter. Are you in a calorie deficit overall or not? That will determine whether your body loses fat or not. And a lot of people get confused, and there's a lot of, mixed messaging about that. But that is it. That is the science. Are you in a calorie deficit? Yes or no. That will determine whether you lose body fat or not. Also, you've got to think with resistance training, particularly the type that we do in the squad, it really lifts the heart rate. So the type of resistance training that we do in the squad is more muscular endurance. So we're not doing, 4 to 6 reps of a really heavy weight. Workouts like stronger, we are squatting for 4 minutes at a time. That's more muscular endurance. And when you are doing, say, clean and press, when we're doing the backtrack, we're lifting the heart rate. We're getting our heart rate up into those different zones as well, into those higher zones. So we are really working in more of a moderate to high zone. So you are getting your heart rate up. And another thing to think about with strength training as well, the stuff that we do is, there is a bit of an epoch going on. So that is, it's basically your body's way of replenishing oxygen afterwards. So it stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And steady state cardio doesn't do that as much. So it can give you a little, if you like, a little bit of a energy metabolism boost. So your body is trying to replenish energy after exercise. So a lot of people who say, oh, you burn more calories in cardio. Yes, in that very moment you do. So yes, in those 20 minutes you do. But when you do strength training, your body is trying to kind of repair your muscles. There's a bit of an epoch going on and get, that post-exercise oxygen back into your body for the rest of the day. So which burns more calories? Don't know. Depends. So that's something to think about. And of course, all of them depend on how much effort you're putting in that workout. And you don't want to be working in the high zones all the time. You actually want to be getting a bit of a mixture of everything. And that's why if you follow our timetable, you'll see that it's a mixture of different disciplines, but they will also get you into different heart rate zones. And it can be just so it can be a minefield. It can be absolutely mind-boggling to try and think about it all. Yeah, adding cycling, swimming or running can absolutely increase your cardiovascular fitness and your calorie burn if you're doing, if you're doing a longer duration, if it's more than you normally would do. But it's not essential, and you've got your zone coverage through strength focused workouts with what we do. We're moving quickly in between exercises. We're doing compound movements. We've also got the cardio at the squad as well. So basically, heart rate zones are a guide, and they don't define your fitness level. They don't define your overall fat loss. And if you wanted to do, say, if your focus was, for example, it depends on what your goals are. So if your focus was to do a triathlon, or you want to run a half marathon, or something like that, or you've got a challenge swim, obviously you need to be practicing those sports, right? You need to be doing that. And then I would be saying, okay, do that and then use the classes to supplement what you're doing. So runners, for example, you can't just run. You're going to be absolutely bailing an injury. If you're a runner and you're in the squad, of course you need to be practicing your running to be a good runner. Then what you want to be doing is you need to be doing booty band, you need to be doing Pilates, and you need to get some yoga in there. And ideally, some more strength other than just booty band to support your running. And that is where you can use the classes like that. But in terms of, of everything that we do already, you got enough. An extra cardio might be helpful if you enjoy it. If you want extra cardio endurance, yes, but not if, you don't think your heart rate is high enough in your current workouts. That would depend on how hard you're working. So in short, you don't need to supplement with cycling or running or swimming just because your heart rate isn't in a certain zone. You can get into those zones using the workouts you're already doing, depending on how hard you're working. It doesn't matter on how long you're going to be in that zone unless you are training to do some sort of endurance where you need to practice that kind of thing. If your workouts are challenging enough, they're varied, and you're consistent with them, you're already doing enough, more than enough, for fitness and for fat loss. And overall fat loss depends on whether you're in a calorie deficit, not how long you're in a certain heart rate zone for. So I hope that helps and just kind of explains that a little bit better and gives you an overall view. The next question is, because we're switching over to supplementation now. Do you have an opinion on supplements, as there seems to be so much marketing around supplements directed at perimenopausal women at the moment? Oh my gosh, there is. As soon as you say the word menopause, it just pops up on the algorithm, doesn't it? There's so much marketing around the menopause at the moment, and a lot of it is just that. It really is just marketing. Now, first and foremost, you know what I'm going to say? Food, you can get everything you need from your food, and that is primary. Whole foods are your primary source of everything. And supplements, they fill the gaps, they don't replace a healthy, balanced diet. And if I were to say any that I would recommend using, if you're not sure, if you're not sure you're getting enough from your diet, it would be vitamin D and calcium. So they're really, really important for bone density. So as estrogen drops, we actually get less protection on our bones. Basically, our bones become we can lose calcium from our bones quite rapidly when estrogen drops. So we want to be supporting that. Vitamin D and calcium are really important for supporting your bones. So I'd be thinking about that. I'd also be thinking about maybe omega-3s. So they're really good for your heart health. They are good for your joints, they're good for your brain, and they may also reduce inflammation as well. Then another one that I'd maybe look at, and the jury's kind of a bit out on this one, but there's quite a lot of research behind it and emerging that actually is really useful. And a lot of people I've spoken to have found this really useful, and that's magnesium. So taking it in the oral form, so taking it in a tablet rather than spraying it on your body, that can really help you sleep, and it can help you sleep a little bit deeper. So that might be something just to try. And another thing to think about is if you think you're not getting enough protein, maybe supplementing with some protein powder, like some whey protein. That is to maintain your muscle mass. Again, as estrogen declines and also testosterone in women, as it declines, we can exponentially lose muscle mass, which is pretty devastating for our bone density. And also, our metabolism is based on our lean muscle mass. We want to keep our lean muscle mass. And just because it keeps us stronger. And no one wants to live a life where, they're struggling to take care of themselves, they're struggling to carry their shopping, they're struggling to get out of a chair or go up and down the stairs. Like, these are things that we need to think about now. We want to hold on to that muscle mass the best we possibly can for a higher quality and an easier life. So do make sure you're doing that. And one of our squaddies said it was last week when we were talking about wins, how she carried somebody's suitcase up the stairs at a train station. And it was this young woman, and then she turned around to her and said, yeah, strength training is really important, particularly as you get older. And I was like, yes, be the person to march up the stairs helping other people carry their cases. Yes, be that person. Anyway, I just thought that was amazing. So they're the kind of ones that I would focus on, but just be very, very mindful of all the aggressive marketing that is out there. And also how it has been researched. Usually find, particularly things like collagen. Who's done that research? It's usually the companies themselves who have funded some sort of research. So you do have to be very mindful. And a lot of the so-called effects can be placebo or just actually really, really minimal. Make sure you're focusing first and foremost on your food. And then those are some other ones, in my opinion, there'd be no harm in supplementing with those things. But as always, of course, speak to your GP, speak to a medical professional about it, and just in case beforehand. How do you know you're challenging yourself or overdoing it? And when to increase weight or intensity? So it depends on the workout that you're doing, and also depends on what you want to get out of the workout. So when we do our workouts, the aim isn't to come to class and absolutely hammer ourselves every single time. It's really important to sometimes come to a workout to mobilize the body, to move the body. And then other times it's really important to, yes, make sure we are getting that element of, right, I'm going to up the intensity this week, or right, I'm going to challenge my weights this week. And it depends quite often on how you feel as well. Because sometimes we have those weeks where actually just showing up and doing something is all we've got that day. And that feels so amazing. And we're showing up not because we want to, we're showing up because it's important to us. But what I would say in terms of if you're wanting to, say, do a higher intensity workout and really challenge your cardiovascular fitness, probably doing that, say, for example, like a HIIT, 1 to 2 times a week where you're really going for it and allowing your body adequate recovery. And I'm not saying the rest of the time, don't really put any effort in. I'm saying if you're going to really go for it, as in you're going to do with like a super high intensity workout 1 to 2 times a week, totally fine. And the other times, working strength, We do that progressively over the weeks. So you notice it in a stronger release. I always say, so stronger is our strength-based workout and muscular endurance. Do that for a couple of weeks. We keep the weights. And then week 3, 4, we're progressively overloading. We kind of know the routine by now. We know how we want to challenge ourselves. And this is where we start to progressively overload. So come to class regularly, and we do that together. But in terms of increasing your weight, if you can complete, say, a track or the target reps, whatever I've given you to do, easily with good form, then it's time to increase. I'm not saying that you get to a point where you experience bad form. You need to put your weights down before you get to that point. But if you're doing, say, I don't know, for example, stronger, the squat track, and you've had to put your barbell down 3 times in that track, it's a bit too heavy. If you just had to do it the one time, okay, then challenging enough. If you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, it was all right, actually, then it's time to add on. If you're getting to the end and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so pleased there wasn't another 30 seconds of that track, then you're probably okay at that weight. So a lot of it is perceived as well, how hard you're actually working. But if you can complete the reps or a track easily with good form, it's time to start increasing that now. And you can tell if you're overdoing something if you're having any sort of persistent soreness or DOMs that are going beyond 72 hours, if you're getting any sharp pains or discomfort, or if you are finding actually you're getting a decrease in your performance or a decrease in your energy or real decrease in your motivation when actually normally you would want to do these things. And you can tell if you're overtraining, if you're starting to get niggles, if you are struggling to sleep at night, if your appetite's out. That can be another sign. There's loads of different signs of overtraining. If you are irritable, then that can also be a sign of overtraining. So then I would say, make sure you're taking some rest, or make sure you're taking some active recovery and you're doing some like yoga and Pilates. You're really getting a good mixture in there. But that is a rough sort of guide on how to know if you're pushing yourself too hard and how to challenge yourself as well. So I hope that is helpful. I hope that is useful. Okay, next question. Top tips for a perfect morning routine. Oh, I love this question. And the thing is, it's obviously it's so subjective. A perfect morning routine will look so different for everyone. And there are a few things that you can do to start your day off really well. And these are things that are science-backed and things that are going to support your focus and your energy and your mood going into the day. Here are a few things that you can do. Number 1 is going to be to hydrate. So starting off your day with a glass of water, or a nice big glass of water. Just hydrate the body. After we've been sleeping for so many hours, we've not had anything to drink, the body needs a bit of hydration. So hydrate straight away. The next thing is to move your body. And that is why it's perfect doing our classes in the morning. We're waking up the body, waking up our circulation, our muscles, and obviously then the feel-good endorphins are going around the body. You're feeling amazing. You're feeling good. And that might even be a bolt-on workout. So if you can't do the 20-minute workout at 6 or the 21 at 1:30, or both of them if you like to do the double, then just get on a bolt-on workout and just do something to move the body, or some light stretching. The third thing would be natural light. So getting some light exposure. So natural sunlight just really helps. It helps regulate your circadian rhythm. Now, at the moment, obviously it's dark when we get up. So you might hydrate, you might do a class, and then as soon as class is over, then you're going to go and stand outside as you cool down, just getting that bit of light exposure. So you can do it that way round as well. Having a protein-rich breakfast, that's going to support your energy and it's going to keep you satiated throughout the morning as well. So that would be something that I would absolutely do. And if you have got time, just some mindfulness or some journaling, even if that is writing out your to-do list for the day, or is writing anything that's on your mind, or if it's just doing a few rounds of some breath work, that can be really, really useful. Or meditation, if you like meditation, or gratitude even, writing down 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that you're looking forward to that day. That can be really helpful. So all in all, that could take about, so say if you do the 20-minute class, about 30 minutes. You don't need to be, doing, if you sat down doing meditation for half an hour, then working out 45 minutes, and it doesn't need to be really long. And it also doesn't even need to be half an hour. It can be however long is right for you. So, I mean, I do not have the perfect morning routine, but my routine sort of goes a little bit like this. So I will always get up 45 minutes before the class. I will start my day with a protein-rich breakfast. I will hydrate. And then, of course, and I write my to-do list. I have a look over everything for the day. So that's my little bit of it's not really mindfulness as such, kind of brain dumping, ironing out what I need to do. I quite like just starting with a little focus. But some people don't like to do that. Some people don't like to even think about work or what they've got on that day. For me, I personally find that actually it really helps because it makes me feel focused and it makes me feel like I can know what's going on that day and just sort of in charge of my day. So that's why I personally like to do it, but it doesn't work for everybody. Then I will move my body, teach the classes, and then straight after that, I would want to walk outside and walk Harvey. So that's sort of the way round that I do it. But you have to find the way that works for you. But they're the sort of the main things to focus on. The 5 main things: hydration, moving your body, get some natural sunlight, protein-rich breakfast, and then making sure that you do something to set up your mind for the day, whatever that is for you. And that is going to be different for everyone. Okay, next question is best exercise to correct an anterior pelvic tilt posture and neck exercises to help correct head going forwards and tight muscles and tight glute exercises. So an anterior pelvic tilt is where your pelvis is tilting forwards. So it might be like your booty it's almost like your booty's out, your pelvis is tipping forwards. And this can quite often happen in things like pregnancy, and quite often it isn't corrected afterwards as well. But it can be for lots of different reasons. It can be from really tight hips. You know, if you sit down a lot or if you travel a lot for work, for example, it can be from tight hips that forces our pelvis into this forward tilt. And what's happening here is our hip flexors are tight. So right at the front of your hips are really tight, forcing our pelvis into that forward tilt. And the glutes and the hamstrings are quite often weak at the back, can lengthen. So the things to do here would be hip flexor stretches. We do those in YogaScape, or if you go onto stretch and you just type in hip, then loads will come up. And doing some lower back mobility as well. Then you want to strengthen your glutes and the back of the legs. Glute bridges are great for these, where you lie on your back and you lift your hips up in the air. Hamstring curls, donkeys, basically booty band. Do booty band. That would be really, really good for strengthening the back of the legs and the glutes. So will stronger. And so will most of our lower body workouts, because that is what we focus on. Those things. Deadlifts are really good for your hamstrings as well. So many exercises, squats, lunges. Yeah, you get the idea. Now, the forward head neck posture, that can lead, well, it can be because of a tight chest sometimes. It can be because you have a weaker upper back can be. There can be lots of different reasons for it, but the things that I would be thinking about is opening up the chest at the front. Again, YogaScape, great for that. And working on strength in the back of the body. So scapula. Actually, in this YogaScape release number 9, that is our focus. It's scapular strength, or one of them, and stronger. The stronger your backtrack, or just going to the upper body area and doing the exercises from there. Now, glutes can often feel tight due to sitting for a long time, or if they're overcompensating for weak hip flexors. So sometimes our hip flexors can be tight but weak at the same time. So a figure of 4 stretch can be nice. So where you're crossing your ankle just above the knee, a pigeon pose, a yoga pigeon pose, and then to activate them. So if you're thinking that, oh, maybe, you know, they're weak, for example, you can focus on things like clams, glute bridges, etc. So I think really overall here, it's a case of we need to strengthen and we need to release. So rather than thinking about the exact exercises, what I would say is just make sure you've got those classes in weekly in your journal. So it sounds like booty band would be a really good one. So I'd be tempted to put that in twice. It sounds like YogaScape will also be a really good one. Again, I'd put that in twice. And then thinking about other ones that will support this. So you've got your upper and your lower body strength. And you've also got Pilates, so some deep core work, which will also help to support. They're going to be your main focuses, of course, depending on how much time you have to dedicate to this. So that is sort of how I would be looking at the week. Have I got, say, even like minimum 2 strength sessions in one of them, absolute minimum being a booty band. Ideally, couple booty bands, and then we get stronger. So we've got the upper and the lower body in there. And then, you know, what about YogaScape? Okay, right, I need to make sure that I'm doing that a couple of times a week, or at least I've got a YogaScape and then a hip release. And then looking at what else can complement this as well, like Pilates, for example. And then a few weeks doing that, that should really start to help. So I'd monitor that and see how you get on. Now, speaking of booty band, that is our last question. I've never done a booty band workout, but I wondered if anyone can do it and if there's a level for it. Yes, absolutely anyone can do booty band. And there are different levels of resistance band. And they're called like small, medium, large, or they might be like light, medium, heavy resistance. They're all called something slightly different. I've got like a medium one. So it's not in terms of the size, like, if you're a small person, then you should get a small booty band. It's not like that. It's how elastic the bands are. So a small one, it's going to be very inelastic and not very movable, whereas a larger one is going to be really quite elastic and a bit easier if you like. But they're fantastic just for increasing that resistance to certain movements, like squats, like bridges, like I call them crab walks, but basically lateral walks, moving side to side. So it increases the muscle activation, which makes them work harder, particularly in your glutes and your hips. But what you can do is you can do a booty band workout without the band. So you could start with the band, learn the proper form, how to do it correctly, feel confident with it. And then once you feel more confident with it, then, okay, well, you could start to add a band in. But normally you can get the bands like in a pack, or you can just buy one. And if you're going to do that, just get like a medium one. But it's a really, really good workout. And it focuses more on controlled movements and slower movements rather than super, super fast. So we're putting the muscle under a lot of tension. It's more like about quality versus quantity in the workout, but it's really, really fantastic. So I'd highly recommend anyone does it. It's great for your glute strength. It's great for your hips, and it's really, really good for injury prevention. So you get the nice peach, you feel stronger, and it's really good for injury prevention. It's one of those that if you do it on a regular basis, you'll sort yourself out basically. You'll be sorted. And if you don't do it, then I would be saying, okay, now is the time to really think about doing it. And essentially all the exercise that you do, if you ever do get an injury, like you struggle with your back, or we're talking about the anterior pelvic tilt, etc., all the exercise we do in booty band, you're basically going to get given by physio as well. So it's really important to be, depending on what you've gone for, obviously, but it is really important to be doing these exercises regularly, clams, bridges, etc. Anyway, that's all for today. Brilliant questions, though. I hope you enjoyed that. I know we went quite in depth on a lot of things. So if you have got any questions on that or anything that I've said, please let me know, gang. And don't forget to sign up for the step challenge. It's going to be really, really good fun. And I will see you in class tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.